us, and then John will bring on your final.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mayor Hathaway and Commissioners. My name is John Ferguson, 149 South Ridgewood Avenue. I'm a corporate attorney at the law firm of Cobb Cole. I have the pleasure of working with my partner Mark Watts and Mark Purnell. And as Mark has disclosed to you guys, he is unavailable. Mark Watts is unavailable to be here today on a family issue out of the country. He sent you a letter previously, and I would like to read that letter. If anyone needs copies of that or the amendment of the statute, I have copies as well. I am writing to request your consideration of the attached second amendment to the Coronado Island Marine Village Purchase and Development Agreement to extend the current closing deadline until July 1, 2018. I will be out of the country attending to a family matter that night of your June 12th meeting and am unable to present a more detailed amendment proposal that attempts to respond to some of the issues that were raised at the May 22nd Commission meeting. If the attached amendment is approved, I would like to present a more detailed amendment for your consideration at the June 26th meeting. I appreciate your courtesy and consideration. Along with that letter was the amendment, with the only change being that the closing date would be extended to July 1st. As you will recall, at the last meeting, the motion to extend the closing date to July 1st failed when there were only 3 commissioners at that meeting. This is a very important project for the city. And to have it fail because less than a majority of the commission voted against it, I think is a disservice to the city. This request tonight is not about substance. It's not about whether you approve the project or disapprove the project like this or like that. This is about giving yourselves and giving the city the opportunity to hear a project that might meet all of your needs and all of your wishes. Now, Mark Watts is going to present a proposal which we hope does exactly that. However, unless one of you makes a motion to approve the second amendment that was passed, and unless 3 of you vote in favor of it, you and the city will never have that opportunity. So the request tonight is to approve the second amendment, let the substance be spoken at the June 26th meeting, and at that point in time you can do what's in the best interest of the city.
What's the commission's position on you want to act on this request by this by Mr. Ferguson? Request. Sir.
Thank you.
Anyone else like to address the commission?
Steve Provost, 1805 Beacon Street. I wasn't planning on talking about this tonight because it wasn't on the agenda, but I told you last time when I was here that I had reviewed some recent information given to me by staff concerning the financial feasibility of this project. I felt what I saw did not meet the criteria that was in your purchase and development agreement. We had 5 conditions there. They were not met, what I saw, which was only presented a few weeks ago. Since then, I've gone back to staff and I asked if I excuse me, could review the initial information that was to be given to you by November 1st. What I saw from that, what was given to me, which I was told was all what was given to the city, except some confidential information that was presented to the city with the understanding that it could be returned to the applicant, which made sense to me. However, what I did see certainly didn't meet the requirements of your purchase and development agreement. So both the initial material that was supposed to be given to you by November 1st, plus what was later submitted, at least in my judgment, reading over the 5 conditions that were in your purchase and development agreement, they were not met. So it seems to me that they've totally defaulted on one of the big criteria that you guys were concerned about when you wrote the purchase and development agreement, a detailed, convincing proof of financial feasibility. I don't think that's been given to the city. It certainly hasn't been heard by you, and I think you really need to look at the material before you make any further decision. Thanks.
Thank you, sir.
My name is Sally Gillespie. I live at 610 North Peninsula. First, let me thank Mark Cornell and his attorney for meeting with me. And they did confirm at the meeting we had, Mark has been most cordial and gracious throughout this entire process. And he did confirm that he is now a 7% shareholder in CIMV. 93% shares of stock have been transferred to Parkway Hospitality. And so that, I think, does raise an issue that has been discussed tonight about the city's liability for not pursuing its contracts in full good faith. There was nothing that I could find in reading the request for proposal that did not speak, nor indeed in anything in the purchase agreement that did not speak to the respondent who was chosen by this commission to fully fulfilling the obligations of that RFP. And so I would, and I reflected this actually at first reading, I'm really concerned, as the gentleman who just spoke mentioned, that there have been some questionable delays in the excuse me, in the financing procedure, that other respondents to your RFP could challenge. And I think to now recognize Parkway Hospitality as the managing member, the buyer, if you will, for CIMV LLC is really a huge step if you should choose to take it. So from the standpoint of your liability, I would give serious concern to agreeing to pursue this. Secondly, I did employ my own attorney just so I could have some legal authority for the coalition that I represent. And that gentleman, who is a contract lawyer with 30 years experience in good standing before the bar, questioned whether the assignment agreement should not have been fulfilled before the shares of stock, 93% shares of stock, were transferred to Parkway Hospitality. He definitely felt that based on Section 19G of the purchase agreement, that the seller should have been approached, this commission should have been asked for the assignment of those shares. And
right here. Commissioner, extend Sally's time. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That really concludes my remarks. I just feel that we're on a slippery slope. My personal opinion, and this is not reflective of the coalition, but I think to make it clean on the part of the commission, this needs to terminate at this point and then perhaps go out for another RFP and let Parkway Hospitality LLC come back and be the applicant, since they are now, in fact, the buyer. Thank you, gentlemen.
Good evening. My name is Robert Bottom, 702 Foxtail Court, New Smyrna. I have a unique look at New Smyrna because I grew up here and went away for a career in the military, and was away for many years and came back just 8 years ago. But I would always come home during it, and I've seen all the change in New Smyrna, and I monitor how things have went. It's changed a lot since I was a kid, some for good, some for bad. we've had a lot of change recently. And I know there's a backlash to change. The one thing I've noticed though, since I was gone, that there's been almost no boat storage built in the city. So it's one of the things that I actually didn't know Mr. Grinnell until a couple weeks ago. I heard about this project and went, well, surely that's going well. And I met him and said, well, how's that going? Well, there's a lot of opposition to it.